I think one of the biggest damaging things you can do with your horse is just bore them to death. I see that people doing that with my fundamentals level of my method is they've taught the horse the fundamental groundwork exercises and they never move on to intermediate or never move on to advanced or they never move on to even just an obstacle course. And they do the same boring sending exercise between them and the fence every day. And the horses just get resentful about it. They get pissy. They get pinny-eared. They get switching their tail. It's like, imagine you learning the alphabet. You work on the alphabet until you can do it and recite it off by heart. But then somebody made you repeat the alphabet 50 more times every single day. After another 6 months to a year, you hate the alphabet. You want to move on to words. After you get words, you want to move on to sentences. After sentences, paragraphs, chapters, books. The quickest way to get a horse to hate his life is make him do the same boring thing every boring day in the same boring way. Okay? That's why the obstacles create some adventure for a horse. It gives him a reason to step over the log, okay? Or go through the water, or go through the cowboy curtain, or jump something. It gives him purpose to it. So it's very, very important. Once your horse knows a certain exercise, if you're going to keep practicing that exercise, especially on the ground, this seems to happen a lot more in the groundwork than the riding. I don't really know why, but the groundwork horses seem to get really pissy really quickly if you bore them to death. So once he knows the exercise, we'll just use sending exercise as an example. If he knows how to do it and you're happy with it, if you still want to practice it, have him jump over a log, have him step over a plastic tarp, have him step over, something else, a rubber mat. Put something there that says, I'm telling you to go from here to here, and here's a little bit of an obstacle to challenge you. Do you really want to do it? Do you respect me enough? Are you frightened of it, etc.? Once a horse has learnt to get real pissy with his ears on the ground and real pinny and snarly and bad with his tail, I got to be honest, it's almost impossible to fix it. I've had very little luck when they get truly that sour about the groundwork that they ever quit doing it. Now, I can typically get them brightened up enough to where they don't run around there with their ears completely flat back on their head and snarling at you. But usually you can never get them perked back up. So that's why I was always very careful with Diaz and Mindy and Marty and the horses that we did a lot of groundwork with. You always want to make it kind of fun for them when they get to a certain level. Like it's not a chore, like they're on the treadmill, just knocking down calories, looking at a brick wall, wanting to shoot themselves in the head. You want to quit when it's kind of bright-eyed and it's on their mind, and they're, because once they start getting bored, once they start getting pinny-eared, it's very hard to turn that attitude around, especially when they learn to flatten those ears back. There's always a struggle going on between the importance of consistency and the importance of adding variety. You need consistency to teach your horse. Consistency in how many days you work with him in a row, how many times you do the same exercise till he understands. You need consistency that you teach the exercise the same way so he can learn to read your body language and understand the cues. So consistency is huge. You need all of it to train a horse. But too much consistency and not enough variety, okay, makes the horse get dull, makes him get pissy, makes him get sour, makes him get bored. When a horse gets bored, they start looking out the window. They start ignoring what what you want them to do. Variety. If you work on too many different exercises and skip too many days in between, or add so much variety that you never come back to the same exercise 2 days in a row, it'll be very difficult to teach him anything because he's got so much variety, he can't practice anything to get good. So consistency helps you practice something and get good at it. Variety is what keeps it interesting and fun and vibrant and him wanting to learn more. So you're trying to balance the two here. If you get way over here, it's shitty. Way over here, it's shitty. You're trying to do a little bit of this. So read your horses on what they need and add a little bit of this or a little bit of that, or, read your horse. So don't be frightened to give your horse 2-a-day training sessions, okay? and give him that extra work or give him that extra consistency training. Remember, consistency is how you learn, how your horse learns. Variety is what keeps it interesting. So consistency is important to give him the concepts of what he needs to do. So in a perfect world, you'll walk with your horse 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Give him 1 day off a week. But we all don't live in a perfect world, far from it. So you might only get 3 days a week to work with your horse. 3 is a magic number with horses. If you can get to at least 3 days in a week of training, you're on the right track. When you do something to a horse once, you plant a seed. If you do it again, if it's a good thing, it becomes a good habit. If it's a bad thing, it's a bad habit. When you do something a third time, it becomes an ingrained habit. A fourth time, more ingrained. Fifth time, more ingrained. So 3 is the magic number with horses. So if you can only work with your horse a few times a week, say 3, try to make the training sessions Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I don't care what 3 days, but make them 3 days in a row. What you don't want to do is do like Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Because every day you give your horse off, you really lose 2 days. So let's say I ride my horses Monday through Saturday. They have Sunday off. When I get my horses back out to train Monday, they're going to have what I call Monday-itis. They're not going to be paying attention. They're off with the fairies. They're not engaged. Okay? I bet it's like school teachers of little children. They've just had the weekend off playing, and you got to gather these kids up Monday and get them back in the classroom and kind of get them mentally focused and structured and wanting to learn. You got to, first couple of hours probably a little bit chaotic. You got to get them gathered up. So Monday's lesson, if he's had Sunday off, is pretty much a wash. I don't get anything really accomplished except getting him to listen, pay attention, and refocus on me and his job. So Monday didn't finish any better off than how Saturday's lesson finished. Now, if I work my horse Tuesday, so here's Monday where we finished. Tuesday's lesson starts where Monday's finished. By the time I get done Tuesday, we've made some improvement. Wednesday, I start where Tuesday's ended, and I make more improvement on Wednesday. So every day I work with my horse, it's like I take a step up the staircase every day. But as soon as I stop and give my horse 1 day off, I really lose 2. I lose the day off he had, and then I also lose the next training session too, because I really don't make any improvement. Now, does it really matter if he has 3 or 4 or 5 days off? Not particularly, as long as they're in a row, because it's still, you've lost the first training session back. Whether he has 1 day off or 4 days off, and theoretically, it really doesn't make that much difference, theoretically, okay? So try your best to work your horse 3 consecutive sessions. If you've only got the weekend, for example, work with him Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday evening. Give him 2-a-day training sessions. You'd be amazed how much they learn when you work with them twice a day, whether you ride them twice a day or groundwork twice a day or groundwork and riding twice a day. When we have the academy program, when we would get in problem horses and horses with bad attitudes and shitty attitudes and horses that didn't want to behave, we worked them twice a day, every day, for a week or 2, until those horses put up their hands and said, we want to get along, okay? See, a lot of people do the opposite of me. When their horses have pissy attitudes and shitty attitudes and bad work ethics and are doing bad things, most people want to back the workload off, thinking that that will improve their attitude. I do the complete opposite. I increase the workload. The worse a horse's attitude is, the more work he has to do. The better his attitude gets, the less work he has to do, and the more I try to reward. A good example of this, do you remember the movie Remember the Titans? Okay, it was the football movie. So when the boys had a bad attitude, if you haven't seen the movie, go see it. It's a phenomenal movie. Or go rent it now. It's been out for years. But when those boys had a bad attitude and didn't want to get along, what the football coach did? He made them go to 2-a-day practices. They still had a shitty day, shitty attitude. He made them go to 3-a-day practices. They still had a crappy attitude. He almost went to 4. Pretty soon those boys says, okay, what do we got to do to get along? So they started gelling in the movie, didn't they? And the football team came together, okay? I understand it's a movie, but reality is that's kind of how I treat horse training. The crappier a horse's attitude is, the more work he gets under his feet. The better his attitude gets, the less I work with him, meaning, physical work, etc. Because I don't want to reward bad behavior, okay? Now, somebody might say, well, Clinton, maybe he's got a penny-eared because he's got a sore back or the saddle doesn't fit him or whatever. You always get those, what I call tree huggers, wanting to make a million excuses why their horse is just a shitbag, okay? Usually the same people have the same excuses why their kids are shitheads too, okay? But reality is, can physical problems cause a bad attitude? The answer is yes. But in my experience of doing this professionally for over 25 years, I have traveled all over the world helping thousands of people with their horses and behavioral problems. The amount of horses that I've seen that we have fixed by training and work ethic and miles under their feet is phenomenal. The amount of horses that I've seen that truly had a physical problem which was causing their bad attitude or their bad riding or bad behavior, it's so small I could barely even scale it. That's how small it is. Now, when you ask most people why their horse has got a bad attitude, people generally lean towards sore back, sore hock, bad ovaries, my horse is having a bad day, it's a fucking Wednesday, whatever. I've heard it all, okay? Do you know why humans as a tendency lean that direction? Because it takes the accountability off us. It puts the excuse on something else rather than maybe I should work with my horse more. Maybe I should put more effort in. Maybe I should learn more. Maybe my horse is acting shitty because I'm a shitty horse trainer. Okay? That's like being fat and blaming McDonald's. McDonald's didn't make you fat. Unless Ronald McDonald came to your house and put a gun to your head and said, eat, motherfucker, eat. Unless he put a gun to your head, it's your problem that you're fat, myself included. So when I get my crap right with my diet, my exercise, my body looks better. Same thing with horses. So it's easy to blame McDonald's while you're fat. We put the shit in our mouth. We didn't go to the gym. Ultimately, it's us. But humans, as a general rule, hate to look at ourselves for corrections, as a good rule, because it takes a little self-discovery. Same thing with horses. So even if your horse is not a problem, but you've got a very stressful job and work a lot of hours, and the weekend's the only time you've got off, great. You can still do it 2 days a week. Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday evening. You still get 4 training sessions in. You need 3 training sessions to really make a difference. Because 3 really means what? 2. First day is a loss. Second day you make progress. Third day you make even more progress. So of 3 training days of a week, you only actually got somewhere 2 of those training sessions. So keep in mind, consistency is your greatest ally. Inconsistency is your greatest enemy. If you say, Clinton, you get a choice between having your horse, you can train your horse for 3 hours once a week, or you can have the same horse for 15 minutes, 7 days a week. What would you pick between the 2? I would actually pick only 15 minutes, 7 days a week. Now, that's assuming nobody else messes with the horse and screws up my shit, okay? But if I get it 15 minutes, 7 days a week, I'll get more training done in a week time than if I go for a 3-hour block of window of time once a week. Because the 3 hours is a long time, but it's kind of like going to the gym. After the first hour, hour and a half, you're spent. You can't do any more in the gym. You resent being there. Horses are a little bit the same way. So even though I got 3 hours, I can't use the entire 3 hours productively. And even if I could, because he's had 6 days on vacation, he's forgotten most of what I taught him. Why do you send your kids to school 5 days a week? Because they learn best with that consistent repetition, consistent repetition, consistent repetition. So even though I don't get much done in 15-minute training session, tomorrow I'll build on that and do a little bit more. And the next day and next day. I always say, how do you get to the top of Mount Everest? Just one damn step at a time. If I just take one step today and another step tomorrow, theoretically, I'll reach the top of Mount Everest with enough days. How do you eat an elephant? Just one damn bite at a time. Don't try to eat the whole son of a bitch. Just eat one bite every day and we'll eat the elephant after a year. Same thing with training horses. It's that consistency that is really your greatest ally. And that's what most horses are lacking.
Every day, you have to ask yourself, am I good enough? If you think you are, you might be right. But that's as good as you'll ever be. Excellence isn't a gift. It's a process. It's not something you're born with. It comes from desire, passion, focus, and vision. Excellence is the ability to push past your goals, to keep dreaming, reaching, and searching for the challenge that takes you further. It's never easy. But when you embrace the hardship, that's when character is built and your will is made strong. Anyone can be excellent. You just have to want it badly enough to find a way instead of an excuse. When you're on the right path and you have determination to move forward, there's no limit to how far you'll go. Excellence isn't a destination. It's what you become when you refuse to quit. Downunder Horsemanship. Create your own success story.
I think if there's one single ingredient that I think people in the horse industry as a whole, just as a culture, do not take seriously enough or do enough of or understand the importance of, it's loping their horse and putting miles under their feet. When I would do a lot of 3-day clinics, and I don't do any anymore, but when I personally did 3-day clinics for 25 years all over the world, I could tell very quickly when we got to the riding portion of the clinic, like first day we'd do groundwork, second day we'd ride, third day we'd ride as well. When it got to the riding portion of the clinic, when I let everybody ride their horse, I could tell almost instantly how much training a horse got with one simple exercise. When I got everybody to lope their horse in the arena, I could tell instantly what horses were well trained and what weren't. The horses that were very well trained, this is how they loped around the arena. Da-dump, da-dump, da-dump. Nice set of cadence, 1 stride, 2 stride, 3 stride, 4 stride. They did a straight line. They didn't wiggle all over the place. They didn't speed up and slow down and take off and stop and run off and do all these crazy things. They're like little robots. Da-doop, 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 da-doop. The riders enjoyed loping them. And then I'd watch the horses lope where the horses were poorly trained or untrained or green broke or whatever. Oh my God, that looked like a cat shoved meth up its ass. It's just running all over the arena. Crazy, all over the place. Couldn't do a straight line to save their life. They'd run forward, then they'd slow down and stop, and then jump left and go right, and just all over the place. That's what young horses do, or horses that have never had a lot of loping do. They have no cadence. They have no consistency. So the horses that lope good, I could tell somebody put those miles under their feet. Somebody sat in that saddle and gave them those miles, steady miles. Not galloping. Like you might say, well, Clinton, racehorses are crazy. They get a lot of loping. No, they get a lot of galloping. Galloping is like giving sugar to 3-year-olds. It just sends them batshit crazy. Okay, that's what galloping is. It makes their mind busy. I didn't say galloping. I said loping. Da-dump, da-dump, da-dump. All horses have the capability of loping slow, on a loose rein, with cadence, in a straight line, in a pasture, in an arena, down a dirt road, whatever. But you've got to teach them to do that, okay? And most people don't want to put miles under their horse's feet, especially if they're a green rider or they're not very good at cantering. The last thing they do is canter. That's where I say, you don't want to learn how to canter on a horse that's green broke and will zig and zag and start and stop and crazy crap. You want to learn to canter on a steady eddy. You want to learn to canter on a seasoned, quiet, gentle horse that will help build your confidence, like riding a bike. Build your confidence on a bike that's built for your size. Okay? So to me, putting steady miles under your horse's feet is one of the most important ingredients in the fundamental level. And one of the things that if you don't do it enough or at all will be one of the biggest reasons it bites you in the ass. You know, when people start the method, I want people to have success. I really do. I try to give people tips and concepts on how to get success with their horse. And one of the best ways for you to do that is when you're first learning, try to find a horse that will fit your skill set or at least build your confidence. Meaning this, if you're green and a new rider and barely able to ride very well, the last thing you need is a green broke 2-year-old that doesn't have a lot of experience, because he's looking to you, the rider or handler, as a leader. But you can't be a leader because you've never done this long enough to be a good leader. So you don't have any confidence. The horse doesn't have any confidence. And when you two get together, it's not if it's a wreck, it's just when and how bad it is. So in a perfect world, and we don't live in a perfect world, I'll be the first to say that, when you're learning the method, try to find a horse that is what I call an average steady broke horse. Not a green broke 2-year-old, not a savage killer that's killed the last 3 trainers that have had it. Try to find something that has had some steady miles under his feet. It may not be the best trained horse in the world, but it's sure not a problem child. If I'm going to learn how to box, I'm not a very good boxer. So the last thing I'm going to do is go find the world championship boxing guy, competitor, and get in the ring with him, because he's going to beat the snot out of me immediately and ruin my confidence. I don't start with a challenge. A lot of people used to do this to me years ago. They'd say, well, Clint, now I'm going to go try your method. I got this horse that's a real problem horse, and I'm going to go see if your stuff really works. I'm going to go find this. I got a real problem horse. I'm confident, but if you really want to give it a chance to work, don't try to learn it with the hardest horse in the world. Get a couple of horses under your belt so you know what you're doing, and then apply it to a difficult horse, and it'll be much easier. There is a reason why when you teach a 4-year-old kid to ride a bike, that you put him on a little bike with training wheels, and the bike is low to the ground, wide wheels, so that when the kid loses their balance, the training wheels kind of pick up the slack. When the kid falls off, the bike's not very high. And as the kid gets better, you take the training wheels off, you get a bigger bike. As they get bigger, you get a bigger bike. And when they're 15 years old, they got a huge bike. But you put a 5-6-year-old kid on a bike this tall and he falls off and smashes his lip on the ground and knocks out his front teeth, he don't want to ride the bike no more. Same thing with horses. Now, I understand that everybody has a limited budget and everybody does not have access to the most perfect horse in the world. So a problem horse may be all you have to learn on. And if that's what it is, that's what it is. Do your best. But if you can at all set up a situation to help you and your horse, do it so that you can go through the method quicker and with less frustration and stay safer.
Take your horsemanship to the next level. The No Worries Club Premium membership is your ultimate portal to complete your horse training. You'll have access to Clinton's complete training library, thousands of hours of step-by-step instructional videos. You'll master all aspects of horsemanship, from fundamentals to trick training. You'll have access to our exclusive social network that connects you with thousands of dedicated horsemen from around the world. You'll have the method available wherever you are and accessible through the web, your phone and tablets, or your favorite streaming devices. You'll receive 8 all-new training videos per year and the quarterly No Worries Journal, as well as access to the ever-growing video library, Q&As, performance horse series, blogs, and more. But that's not all. You also get free tickets to walkabout tours and priority access to the latest news coming from Downunder Horsemanship, not to mention VIP pricing on all of Clinton's must-have training tools. So what are you waiting for? Unlock the ultimate access and jumpstart your training program today.